Hello, James Diaz. How are you? Thanks for joining.
Hi, Leo. Thank you for the invite. It's a pleasure.
Well, it's a pleasure, and thank you so much for being a part of this unaccompanied project. We're going to do a little digging in today to your piece, This Is Not America, Part 2. Um, I don't know about This Is Not America, Part 1, so maybe you can share a little bit about that. And I'm also curious if there's a link between the title and the David Bowie song.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Yeah, Bowie has a song that is titled "This Is Not America," but this piece is not based on that song. This is based on another video actually. By It's based on two different actually media. One is a video, and one is a art installation by a Chilean artist. So the original art installation was displayed in Times Square in the 80s as a sort of political statement from a Latin American artist about the meaning of America. And then this year, another artist, Residente, who is a very famous singer, he released a video, and then the opening of the video is actually with this piece of art as well. So this is like, that's the reason this is called part two, because the title has been used as a sort of political expression of the meaning of America in general
Hmm.
by Latin American artists. And so this is my take on it, which basically means um, what is the meaning of America for me, or being an American, and which is the core of this project overall. And so the link to the piece is you have this duality going on in the piece. And I have especially uh, developed this piece in that way because if you see there are so many angles in this political discussion of America. Of course, for US citizens, America is a country, but for the rest of the Latin America, America is the continent, as we see actually in the map. It's one continent without subdivisions. Those subdivisions are always political. So, and then those two visions are always traveling at the same time.
Hmm.
From the Latin American point of view, it's like a very, hard argument because we usually fight for it. And from my perspective, the idea of fighting is actually not useful at all because it doesn't open for conversation. And so, but at the same time, the term has been used in the States for such a long time that is part of the culture as well. And so it's like it's really hard to balance what we see and what other people see. And so again, the piece has this kind of duality all the time going on, where the performer, in this case you, kind of travel between two ideas simultaneously. And so at the end, this piece could be many pieces, could be just one version, could be two versions. So because at the end, I feel that it's important to have that kind of openness and also willingness to understand the meaning of things shift over time. And whether we have or not an stand or a political view on those things, the argument is not fighting for it. The argument should be always based on talking and conversation instead of, again, war or fight over terms.
I see. I see. Um, yeah, it's a America as a term. It's that's so clumsy, and we get so U.S. centric about it. It feels like it's something that we own, but obviously that's not the case. For anyone who can't see the score, that duality that you were just talking about a second ago won't be obvious. So I'll try to put it up uh, in the video to show people. But essentially, for most of the piece, the options are split. You have very tightly controlled what notes and rhythms and colors and volumes and so many variables to play, and yet me as the performer, I can choose. Do I want to play option A? Do I want to play option B? It's a kind of a choose your own adventure in that way. And I wonder if you would say a little bit more about that balance of control and freedom, and how that relates to your interests and your artistry and your American experience.
Yeah, I guess that I always fascinated by the idea of the score itself, and I always feel that my work is in between many different kind of categories that we have, whether in academia or in music in general. So, like for instance, I don't see myself as an experimental composer, but some people might see me or my pieces as an experimental piece of music. But also some other might see as a very traditional composer. And also I don't see myself as a traditional composer. Um, so I feel that is because I'm trying to be again in the middle of things between the fixed score and the open world score. Like if we see in the past, there are like those two opposite realities fighting again, like from European composers that they were like, it has to be fixed, it has to be very detailed. And then we have other composers from the States that they were like kind of challenging those structures and being more open. So I feel that at the end we can do actually both.
Mm-hmm.
And then because a piece of music could be like any other organism, it could have like um, variations within itself. So this idea of this system that I'm trying to develop is kind of blending those two ideas of what is fits, what is actually improvisation. I don't see my words as improvisations also. Sorry. And then I guess that this idea of allowing the performer to choose is again to create a sense of creativity that we need from the performer's point of view as well.
Wonderful. Well, shall we just dive in? Give it a try?
I'm sorry, I was muted. Congrats. Great. Awesome. Thank you. That was great. That was excellent.
Thanks. Well, it's a little rough. This was the first time through for anybody. But yeah, any thoughts to share?
Just a tiny one, like second page, sorry. Page number 6. I guess that between the top section and the next and a new section, maybe we can make a sort of tiny break. Like give some tiny space between the top system and the second one. just to emphasize maybe that that was one section, and then here we have the second one coming up.
The start of something.
And
One
I
thing
don't,
that it's
yeah.
not clear, the boxes are so, there's such a definitive structure that visually I see them and my mind wants to finish a box and stop before I go on to another passage. So if I don't see a line traveling straight through, if I when I see that sort of shape, um, it's not clear to me how much to let the phrases elide, or if do we actually feel the sort of bar lines in them.
It's a really good question. I feel that we should try to connect the phrases, because otherwise we will perceive just chunks of phrases individually. And I think that you did a really great job sort of phrasing every single of those buttons. So the only one that I was more curious for the break was this one, where I actually feel that we need a tiny break. Just tiny rest, or maybe more retardando to close that phrase, and then we have more space for the new section. And but now I feel that overall the phrasing was really great. Yeah.
Okay, I mean that's an important moment right there where we go from all of the options to suddenly getting
Mm-hmm.
something definitively linear,
Yep.
and very many fewer of the bifurcated choices.
Yes.
Great. Okay. Well, you
And
have
I feel that maybe the end,
mm,
like now that you are doing the alternative ending, maybe we can make like a fake end.
ah,
We basically end in the tremolo low register, almost silent, and then here comes the end, the
and
alternative.
would it be end the almost silent and should I have the ending sneak in or should it be?
It should be sneaking, yeah, almost like a fader in, like, oh, this is the end.
Okay. Do you want me to try that? Maybe
Yeah, that would be cool.
I'll do I'll do the last real line and then the alternative ending.
Amazing. Yes, great. Now I was looking at you instead of the score, and that was great that you almost stopped. So that was excellent. Yeah, thank
Okay. And yeah, actually, one thing that you didn't specify, and I just played it two completely different ways.
you.
In the alternative ending, this time I tried to keep it more non-retardando. The first time I totally did a huge as I let it unwind. Do you have a preference?
No, I don't have a preference, to be honest. Yeah, as it's not written.
Just
Yeah.
let it morendo in one way or the other.
Yep.
Yeah, great. Excellent. Well, any other technical thoughts or phrasing to share?
Um, Tiny phrase. I feel like, again, page. Sorry, page number 6, the second system. This the last bar when you have the ricochet. Somehow I feel that also we need a break, like a tiny breathing.
I agree. I think this is one that ends like with a statement, and then it needs
Yes.
a fresh breath for. I think so too. Okay, great,
And that's it. Yep, that's it.
wonderful. Well, thank you for the fabulous creative piece. I have my work to do, but I can't wait for the premiere for the whole unaccompanied project on October 22nd at the POW Center in Boston's Chinatown, and hope you all can join us. Thanks, James.
Thank you.